Hello, I'm Commissioner Ben Hovland with the U.S. Election Assistance Commission. As part of the EAC's recognition of Native American Heritage Month, I have the pleasure of speaking with one of the newest members of the EAC team, Rosangela Ortiz. Rosangela, thank you for joining me today. We're excited to have you on the team as the agency's first ever subject matter expert, primarily focused on language requirements and assistance. Can you tell us a little bit about what you'll be doing in this role?
Thank you, Commissioner Hovland. So as you mentioned, my position is part of the EAC's new clearinghouse department, which consists of the 5 election subject matter experts. So in my position, like accessibility, we want language access to permeate the culture of the agency and inform all products we produce. So language access is no longer a standalone seller component of the voting process. And in fact, during my time at the Secretary of State's office, I often found myself wondering how other states address language challenges. And now it's going to be part of my job, along with the team of subject matter experts, to do the research, collect best practices, and produce resources such as checklists, case studies, library of resources, and reports that can be of assistance to election officials across the county. We at the EAC want to work with all stakeholders and be a resource to election officials to better serve their language community.
That's great. You mentioned that you came from the New Mexico Secretary of State's office. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience and the work that you did there in support of bilingual or multilingual election materials, including those designed to assist Native Americans in the voting process?
Yes, so before joining the EAC, I worked at the New Mexico Secretary of State. And as you know, New Mexico is very unique. We have over 1.3 million voters, 23 federally recognized tribes, and the largest percentage of Hispanic and Latino voters, and also the second highest percentage of Native American voters after Alaska. So at the Secretary of State, I actually was a member of the implementation team that planned, coordinated, and executed the rollout of a new voter registration system. I had the pleasure of working hand in hand with 33 county clerks in areas of training, system implementation, logic and accuracy testing, post-election audits, and Spanish translation. During my time at the Secretary of State's office, I actually realized that elections gathers a unique set of individuals. We are passionate, we are driven, and we love the work we do in protecting our democracy and ensuring equal access to the polls. And now, actually, through the work of the EAC in this new position, I can continue to be a resource to election officials, stakeholders, the language community, and voters.
Absolutely. Well, we're glad you came. The land of enchantment, New Mexico. We welcome you. Can you talk about what some of the ways that you found success in meeting the Section 203 of the Voting Rights Act language requirements with Native American voters?
So in the case of New Mexico, hiring Native American coordinators and election staff has been key in developing working relationships with tribal leaders. We have program liaisons, and they're actually members of the Native American community, and they have a wealth of institutional knowledge, resources, and that is a vital component of building relationship and trust. Other ways that New Mexico meets that language requirement is through radio announcements in Navajo and Antigua, voter education presentations to Native American stakeholders, distribution of written voter education and information materials in Native American communities, and also establishing polling sites on Native American precincts. Lastly, one of our counties, Bernalillo County, publishes Navajo and Antigua language resources on their website. So yeah, they do a little bit of everything.
That's great. Speaking of Section 203, the announcement for jurisdictions with increased coverage of Section 203 will be released next month. With that in mind, what's one piece of advice that you would give for jurisdictions that are going to gain new Section 203 coverage next month?
Yeah, so the new Section 203 determinations will be in effect immediately upon publication in the Federal Register. So that means time is limited. So my advice is that, election officials should know that they're not alone. Reach out to your peers that have gone through this process. Use existing trusted resources. The election community and electional officials are here to help. We're here to help each other. And now at the EAC, we have a new service, a new position tasked with finding ways to be a resource. We want to facilitate the sharing of trusted resources, help build relationships, and battle misinformation. And most importantly, ensure that everyone can participate effectively in the electoral process.
Great. Sort of speaking of which, I'm very pleased that the EAC recently released the National Male Voter Registration Form in 3 Native American languages for the first time ever. Can you tell us a little bit about the process to translate the National Male Voter Registration Form and actually the election terms glossary into those Native languages?
Yes, so we actually have contracted translation services, and we received feedback from them, and they let us know that the Apache translation should be in audio form. So we actually have the Apache National Male Voter Registration Form audio file on our website, and we are extremely excited to pilot the audio translation at the EAC to provide this resource to election officials. We understand that finding culturally sensitive and competent translation services is a challenge, and I want to highlight the importance of finding appropriate translators. In my previous role, I reviewed the work of the translators in Spanish to ensure we maintain uniformity across the ballot and that we use the acceptable terms in our jurisdictions, and that is extremely important. As you mentioned, I use the Spanish translation or the Spanish glossary of election terminology frequently in my previous role, and we're excited to share that we'll be releasing the glossary also in Yupik, Navajo, and Apache languages in the coming weeks.
That's great. Well, again, it's just great work, and we're so pleased that the EAC is supporting election officials and voters in this way. Rosangela Ortiz, and thank you for your work on these important issues and for joining me today in recognition of Native American Heritage Month.
Thank you, Commissioner Hovland. It's an honor, and I look forward to working with the election community. Thank you.